Actually, maybe I could do this.
All right, ready, Councilman?
Ready.
Okay, all set.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the Public Works Committee to order. Today is March 8th, 2021. Madam Clerk, if you can please call the roll.
Chairman Correa,
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Narducci,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Kerwin,
Here.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
We have 4 present and 1 absent. We have a quorum.
Madam Clerk, if we can let the record reflect that present with us as well as Councilman Pedro Espinal,
So noted.
Jordan Day,
So noted.
and we have Leo Parada present,
So noted.
and Adrian Southgate from the City Solicitor's Office. Madam Solicitor, can you give us a update on this meeting, if it falls within the jurisdiction of Governor McKee's executive order?
Yes, sir. I've reviewed the circumstances under which you are convening, and I believe it is appropriate.
Okay, so I just have one quick question regarding the executive order. So with the last executive order that was updated was under Governor Raimondo. Would this executive order still follow through with Governor Dan McKee?
Well, an executive order remains in effect until it has been supplanted. Some of them get changed immediately by an incoming administration. I don't believe that there has been a change reflecting the change in chief executive.
All right, so it's fair to say that we're good to go?
We're good to go.
Thank you, Madam Solicitor.
Not at all.
Madam Clerk, if you can please read the item on the agenda, please.
Number 1, discussion relative to street sweeping.
So I brought this matter before the Committee on Public Works because many of my colleagues and my constituents also have reached out to me regarding street sweeping. As we know, well, I know here in Ward 6, as I ride around my neighborhood streets, and it's pretty discouraging seeing the amount of trash that's on the street. Before, we used to see a lot of trash and sand from the winter months, but since we're not using sand anymore, we're seeing a lot more trash, debris that are out on the streets. So my opinion, street sweeping has not been working the last, I would say, couple of years, maybe even longer. So I'm interested to see what the new director down there, Leo Parada, has, what his plans are to clean up our city streets and make us all proud of driving around the city of Providence. So any colleagues want to go first, or do we want to hear what Mr. Parada has to say? Councilman Narducci?
I just, why, before the director gets on, is one of the questions I would look to have answered, Director, moving forward also is, and I've said this before when we've discussed street sweeping, is I find it odd that we're going to be doing some street sweeping in the months of like late November, December, and January, when usually there's snow on the ground. So if you could also answer that as we go along, Chairman.
Absolutely. So let's proceed. Mr. Parada, if you could please identify yourself for the record and let us know what the plans are.
Sure, Leo Parada, Director of Public Works, and a couple things. Mr. Chairman, I think you're correct in stating that, yeah, you see a lot less sand on the streets because we don't use sand any longer. We just use strictly salt, which is a benefit. Now, unfortunately, we cannot control, the litter. People litter and throw stuff on the street. So we do have to obviously continue our street sweeping operations. Last year, due to the virus and due to the shutdown early on, we got a late start. Sweeping started probably sometime in May. This year, we're starting much earlier. We started actually last night, and the schedule, we just published it earlier today. We'll go pretty much follow the same schedule we had last year and run from March all the way through December. And I can understand Councilman Narducci's criticism about, winter months, it gets a little more difficult. Yes, it does. But we've had some very warm Novembers. We have isolated snowstorms in December, but we can still sweep. And as long as we can continue to do that, we will do that through the course of the year. The changing climate has definitely enabled us to go longer. So our plan right now is to go 3 times through the city with our existing staff. We do not have the financial ability to go beyond that or the personnel to go beyond that, whether that's hiring an outside vendor or having additional staff. We have budgetary constraints that we must adhere to. If the council sees fit putting additional funds to changing what our operations are, because you feel that we should go more than 3 times. I know there's an existing ordinance that was recently passed, then we can do that. But right now, based upon our internal staffing and our budgetary capabilities, this is what we can do. And I think that, that's a lot of it is predicated upon weather, obviously. It's a tight schedule, but I think it's doable. But when you get rain, that will slow things down a little bit and throw the schedule off a little bit. And while we'll also be doing the neighborhoods, we'll also be doing the mains when we finish up a neighborhood and switching back and forth.
Okay, let me stop you there for a second because you mentioned about the financial part of it, that we don't have it in our budget and whatnot. And if the council wants to add more money towards street sweeping. So I believe, and I can be corrected by my colleagues if I'm wrong, but one of them sits on a finance committee that's here as well. I believe during the budget hearing for the Department of Public Works, street sweeping was one focal point of discussion. And it was asked by the committee members as well as the finance chairman and other council members. It was asked for you to go out for an RFP on street sweeping and come back to us with a proposal to bring in a additional help from a private contractor, because it was quite clear that we are incapable of doing it in-house. Have we gone and got that RFP?
We did, and the cost would be somewhere in the $500,000 to $675,000 range. And that's not all inclusive because they do not provide the trucks for hauling. So that would strictly be the sweeper and their personnel. It would not include additional manpower that we would have to have on during the evening hours, 3rd shift, to supplement, have trucks available to have those sweeper dumps put into 6-wheelers or 10-wheelers and hauled back to the yard during the evening hours. So that's at a minimum that it would cost for a contract. And then it also begs the question, because the work is being exclusively done by city employees presently, 1033 union members, they may have an issue with us contracting out.
But we've
not just
always had
small portion, but a large portion.
But we've always had a private contractor prior to us taking it over ourselves. We've had a private contractor, and the neighborhoods were getting swept at that time 4 times a year. Now we're lucky if we even get it done twice. I don't, I got the schedule that you provided today with 3 times. I don't see it happening 3 times. We have major issues there, Leo. It's our, it comes down to the manpower in our department, where we have, currently we only have 3 people. I mean, we have a foreman, we have a truck driver that drives the 10-wheeler, and we only have 1 sweeper operator. So we only have 1 sweeper a night going out. We don't have, we own 3 sweepers.
We actually have 5 people. There's 1 person down, but we have 4 right now. So we have 2 people who can do sweeping, not 1. And yeah, we're limited. We
only got 2
5
sweepers going out. We only got 2 sweepers going out.
So we have 5. You're absolutely right. We only have 5. So either way, whether it
You don't
is,
have 5 sweepers. You don't have 5 sweepers.
no, we have 5 employees.
Right.
What I'm saying is, right now, that's what you have at night. So if we're going to go to more, whether that's union work or outside work, it's substantially more to get to the level that the ordinance requires. There's an expense associated with that.
So you're saying currently we have 5 people that are working 11 to 7 doing street sweeping?
Right now, there's 4. 1 is out. We bid out that position. We're waiting to see who the applicants are.
So it was my understanding that we had 2 vacant street sweeping positions there.
I think your information is incorrect.
So now, though, to get back to, if the guy that drives the 10-wheeler that they dump the stuff into after they sweep the street, if that guy calls in sick, right, the sweepers don't go out. If the foreman calls in sick, the sweepers don't go out. If a street sweeper guy calls in sick, only sweeper goes out. So it just doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't work. The overall is that we need to go back to bringing in a private contractor where he is going out every night, sweeping the neighborhoods, and it gets done. I mean, currently, our sweepers only go into the neighborhoods 3 nights a week. Okay, 1 night they concentrate just in the downtown area. Another night they concentrate on the tourist areas, such as Thayer Street, Hope Street, India Point, all of those areas. So we only get 3 nights a week of a sweeper in our neighborhood. Then if they break down, they don't go out at all. And then my other concern that I'm being told is that the sweepers that we have, even though they are new, they break down, and our mechanics don't have the knowledge to fix them.
Well, I disagree about the mechanics not having the knowledge to fix them. They do have the ability to fix certain things. Some things are more complicated, obviously. But once again, the city made the investment, whether it was 3, 4, 5 years ago, prior to me becoming director, to sweep. Now, if the council or the administration wishes to make that change and go back to private, there's an expense that's associated with that. And that needs to be budgeted for. And it's also a negotiation that needs to be had with the union, because obviously the union employees are doing the work now. So it's not a question of us not wanting to do it. It's just, you have to understand there are ramifications and implications for changing. So if you want to go to private vendor, you're talking a minimum of $500,000 to $675,000 a year, not including extra staff during the evening hours to supplement those sweepers, and also dealing with the union. That's the only way it can be done. Or you
I'm
give
sure that the
give
union
more
will-
work to the union, and you have more staff during the evening hours and more sweepers. Those are your 2 choices.
Councilman Narducci?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask the director, are you hearing the same kind of stuff from the administration? I mean, is the mayor telling you how there's litter all over our streets and we need to do a better job moving forward? I mean, me personally, I mean, it's always been said, I mean, trash removal, snow removal, and litter is things that council people get calls after calls after calls about. And you know that, Leo, and it often makes me wonder, like, is the mayor seeing the same things that other people are seeing? Is there any communication from the administration to your department saying, listen, what do we need to better the situation? Or do they not bother you at all of seeing litter in the streets?
Councilman, the best way I can answer the question is, as you can see, last year we scheduled twice. This year, we're trying to ramp it up and do it 3 times. We always are looking to improve based upon what we have internally. Do we want to see the streets clean? Absolutely. Do we want to see them with litter on them? Absolutely not. I don't think we're in disagreement with what you want, what the public wants, what the mayor's office wants. I think it's just a matter of giving us the resources, and whether that's the bodies or the funding to implement. We can't do it with what we have. We're restricted with the budget that was passed. I don't even know if the budget, to be honest with you, from my perspective, was even passed. I think everything has been sort of held in abeyance because of the federal government and the state not passing a budget. But we've been operating on a budget similar to the previous year. And there's been no funding to supplement sweeping to the levels that need to be done in order to accomplish the goal that has been stated.
So
And that's in the ordinance as well.
So then if I may just, excuse me, then the only way we're going to get the correct funding to resolve any problems is when the budget time's here, is to put a line item in strictly for, like, say, street sweeping at $600,000, whatever the cost may be, and that we need a certain, we need 5 more employees at DPW that need to be hired now. But when I say now, you know what I mean. That need to be hired to help Harriet, because I know for a fact that not only DPW, but we got other departments that are shorthanded too, and only because, again, I know how the budget goes. The administration wants to, paint this pretty picture, and well, we saved this, we saved that, we saved that. Yeah, but we got departments that are hurting. We got departments that are so short-staffed that, and I don't mean just DPW, once again, that are so short-staffed. Some things are going undone, and that shouldn't be. When the budget's in, we as a city council have to know what our department heads need. And I've said it before when I was on the finance committee, a few years back. I used to say to the department heads, when you guys come before us, bring us a budget that we need to see, and we need to look at what's best for the department. Don't bring us a budget because the administration, and I don't mean the directors, the administration wants the buttercup and not face the reality check on, we need equipment, we need, we need manpower. And then, especially this administration, then I sit back and I see, which, pisses me off, excuse the expression. I sit back and I see, I think he's got 900,000 people that works in the mayor's office. I mean, why do we need so many people working in the administration, and instead of laborers and people working in the jobs, we need them to work in to make our city look good. I just don't get it. And that's what I would ask. I would ask that maybe you put together something for us and for the finance committee, showing what we're going to need to do a better job with like I was saying. I know I'm repeating myself right now, and then I'll stop. Department of Public Works needs $600,000 for street sweeping, for equipment, for manpower, for, and then let us, as the finance committee and the city council, support what you're looking at needing moving forward as the director of that department, knowing your short staffing and your equipment issues and stuff like that there.
Well, I mean, just to reiterate, last year when the budget was put together, the council had not passed an ordinance requiring that the Department of Public Works sweep the streets 6 times during the course of the year. That came much after the initial budget submission was made. So obviously, that mandate through the ordinance has put Public Works at a disadvantage. We don't have the funding to comply with that ordinance as it presently sits.
But even prior
So
to,
whether that is to be enforced by rule, whether it's to be gradually built up to that level, I mean, can we get there little by little? That's a discussion that I think all of us need to have. But right now, as it stands, that ordinance was passed much later after the budget was submitted.
so,
Councilman Correa? Councilman
yes,
Correa?
Madam.
Just so you know, Councilman Taylor has his hand raised, and so does Councilman Espinal.
Okay. If I can just do one quick follow-up, and then I'm gonna go to Councilman Espinal. So, Leo, prior to this ordinance being passed and all that, prior to you getting there, the previous second director under Director Borg came before the Public Works Committee and the Finance Committee and told us that, listen, street sweeping, we can do in-house. Okay, we had a contract that was in place. We didn't renew it. I believe it was for $250,000 or $300,000 for a contractor to come out and help us. Colonel Ball came to us and said, I can do it in-house. All I need is buy me 2 sweepers and we can do it in-house, no more manpower, and the streets will get swept more times than what we're doing now. So we listened to him. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out. Here we are today with a dirty city. So I don't know what happened, but we had the contractor there. Again, like I said, he said we can do it in-house. Buy me 2 sweepers. We bought 2 brand new sweepers. And it just hasn't worked since we've taken it over. So I don't even think with additional manpower, it's going to help. It's not going to help. We need somebody to come in that does it. Their machines break down. They have a mechanic that's on call, comes right out, fixes them. Ours breaks down. We leave out on the street. I had one here on Academy Avenue one time for 2 days before I got towed back to DPW to be fixed. So I don't know if you had that. I didn't see it on a Board of Contract and Supply when I was there, the RFP. But I mean, if you have that RFP, I'm sure that we can get a copy of it and we can get it over to the internal auditor. We can get it over to the Finance Committee and let them, the budget hasn't been passed yet. We're still going back and forth on negotiations on budget stuff. Get that RFP over to the city clerk's office, or I can ask Sherry if we can find it in whatever Board of Contract and Supply meeting it was. And we can get it before the internal auditor and the finance chairman and the Finance Committee to try to get the money that we need to clean up our city. Councilman Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening to all. Certainly, the sweeping program needs some improvement. That's a fact. Now, Leo, when we talk about approximately $600,000 to take this outside of DPW, private contractors, if that was the case, how many times do you think that this amount will get us to the streets be swept? We've been doing twice a year, so can you elaborate on that? Like, how many times will the streets be done?
Yeah, you're probably talking around the 6 times that the ordinance requires. But that would be strictly 6 times. I don't know if that would get you extra on the mains the city employees would have to handle the extra on the mains. But I think that would get you 6 in the neighborhoods.
So maybe we don't need to go all out there. Maybe just a combination of private plus DPW, since we have 2 sweepers. And perhaps we don't need it 600,000, maybe just half of that.
Once again, it's difficult to predict. You have to understand, it's very complicated in terms of getting the street swept. You have a number of factors. One, the sweeper, if it's doing its job properly, it's traveling about 2 to 3 miles an hour. So it's not going very quickly. You have a limited number of hours in which to perform the work. You have to get to the site. You have to return from the site. You have breaks, whatever. You have to unload the sweeper when it gets filled. You have rain to deal with, bad weather conditions, etc. So you have and then you have a condensed time frame. So you factor all that in, you're probably close to that $600,000 range. Maybe a little less. We did say around 500 to 675. I think it depends upon the vendor, but some vendors may be a little ambitious in terms of saying how many streets they can sweep in a night. And you have to look at their proposals very carefully, because when you look at it, they're going much faster than 2-3 miles an hour. And if they're going much faster than 2-3 miles an hour, they're not sweeping the streets properly. And that's what you need to look at. So it may say that, oh, we have this proposal, we can do it for this amount of money. But when you start diving into the details, you realize that, oh, they're saying that they're going to do X number of streets and X number of miles a night. And you start doing the math, and the math comes up to like 7, 8, 9, 10 miles an hour. And that doesn't work. And now you're just buzzing through streets and you're not sweeping them at all. Or they're giving you a false number and not really producing what they should be. So that's where the devil is in the details.
It's a tough scenario, because as I said earlier, we definitely need improvement, but we want to make sure that we get a dollar's worth.
Right.
So let's work on that and see what it is that we, collectively are going to do about this, because we do need to do a better job. Thank you.
Councilman Taylor.
Yeah, Leo, I think in the finance committee, when you were there, if I'm not mistaken, that we voted to have the vendors come in, if I'm not mistaken. But let me ask a couple other questions. So we have right now, we have a foreman and we have 3 drivers, right?
That's
They all
correct.
can,
Yep.
they all can drive the street sweeper, or they all can, what do they do?
I think two right now can drive the sweeper.
So 2 can drive the sweeper, 2 can drive one can drive the truck, and then a foreman, right?
Right, that's correct. Yep.
All right, so I guess my question is, why can't we, okay, so how many sweepers do we got that are working right now?
We have, I think 2 are working right now and 1 is down, but it's a minor repair. So we have.
Okay, so last night, I guess my question would be, how many was out? 1 or 2?
Good question. I don't know, to be honest with you. It should have been 2, but I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, so the foreman, forget it. He's just gonna ride around and do whatever. But why can't we do like the snow plow, like we do in the snow, where we have people from water supply, we have people from parks. If there's other people out there that have the CDL, that's what they get. That's what they have the CDL for. Why can't they drive the trucks, the 10-wheeler or the others, and or B, why can't we train if they're willing to? It all comes down to the union. Why can't we train some of these people to drive the sweeper? So we're using our own people, but we have more than 2 people. So in other words, we have 2 right now. We have 2 people on a sweeper, 1 on a truck. So if we have both come in, we can't use them because we only got 1 truck driver. Where if you had another truck driver from Parks Department, I mean, if these guys in DPW don't want to do it, let the guys with the CDL, the same as the snow plowing, let them, Parks Department or Water Supply or whoever the heck else they use that has a CDL, let them drive the trucks That way we'd always be guaranteed at least, hopefully, to have 2 out each night and train some of these guys. Some of these guys might want in Parks Department or in water supply might want to learn how to drive the sweeper. Plus, it also kind of sends a message to DPW guys, like, you can't be calling in sick all the time, because if you do, then it doesn't matter. We're going to get someone else to fill the truck and drive it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
sure-
What
I'm
we're
pretty
looking at is
sure-
internally, a
I'm
couple
pretty
of
sure
options.
I'm pretty sure the union would agree with it because it's going to be the same as the plowing.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, we're looking at a couple of options internally in terms of getting some additional people to work that third shift and to supplement when people are out. Obviously, it makes it a little complicated when you work during the day, then say you have to work at night. So that's, that runs into some complications, but we're looking at some options and seeing what we can do to get people over into that third shift to supplement what we currently have. So we don't have those vacancies on a regular basis.
I'm especially the truck. There's no reason that if someone calls in sick for the driving the truck that you couldn't find someone to drive that truck.
Right.
Street sweeper shouldn't just sit idle without someone driving the truck because they drive them all the winter. Thank you.
Councilman, Madam Clerk, any other hands up? Because I don't see it here on my screen.
No, just Councilman Espinel, never. Councilman Narducci would like to speak again.
Councilman Narducci.
Chairman, just, what I would suggest is, again, that the director put together a package of what we need moving forward. I mean, obviously, I know for a fact, most of us as council members will support what we need to support with Department of Public Works moving forward. I mean, even if we had to take from other areas and then start moving money around, as we all know, and you said it earlier, Chairman, there's no money, there's no budget right now anyway. Let's get it into this budget coming up and talk to the chairman, talk to the finance chair and the rest of our colleagues. And, I think this is important. I always said, and I know people disagree with me, the police, the fire, and DPW, we should always have more than enough equipment and more than enough employees to do the jobs that we need them to do. When you're ready, I do got just one other question for Director Parada.
You may proceed, Councilman.
Director, I'd just like to know, how do you guys go about picking what wards get done first and what wards get done last?
Well, this year was simple. We just based it upon the schedule from last year. And we just rotated the wards the same way. There's no direct rhyme or reason for it. We just went off last year's schedule. We thought it worked well, and we're proceeding in the same fashion. We wish we could be in every ward every night. You just don't have the manpower or the equipment to do that. You would need an army of sweepers, probably, in theory, 14, 15 minimum to do every ward every night. And now you're talking a major expense. Is it possible to do that? Sure. But obviously money is the key factor in equipment.
If I may also add, because I've seen it here in my neighborhood when we had the private contractor, and I don't know why we don't do it here in DPW. Maybe something you can look at to cut down on the travel time. So I know that the private contractor, when he used to sweep up here, and then he didn't complete that night, like if they were scheduled to be in here, say March 8th to March 12th, they would sweep, and then at the end of their shift, they would leave the machine or machines. They used to leave them like on Carlton Street, and they would stay there until they came back, and then they would drive in a pickup truck with their boss, and they would all get out of the pickup trucks, and then they would get in their machines and they would go. It cut down on a whole bunch of time driving back and forth. I mean, I'm sure the contractor, if we were to bring one in again, would do that. Maybe this is something that DPW should look at, that rather than, our guys driving from DPW to Charles Street every night while they're sweeping, they drive there the first night with the trucks. And then at the end of the night, they leave the machine there and they drive back in the pickup truck with the foreman. And it cuts down on drive time, back and forth, wear and tear on the machine, and just something to think about. So,
I mean, it's an approach, but obviously it comes with inherent risks. And those inherent risks are vandalism. Who knows what's going to happen to the vehicle? It's one thing for the vendor to take that risk. That's another thing for us to take the risk. We leave that vehicle on the street and a catalytic converter is cut out of it. The windows are smashed. Anything can happen to it. So obviously we'd like to have it in a secure location. If that was an option, a secure location where it's under lock and key and can't be touched, that'd be great. But out on the street, it does present a risk to us. And I'm not sure that,
yeah, that's understandable. I understand.
what would happen.
That is something, I mean, times have changed. But just quickly to get back to where Councilman Tucci mentioned about getting in the private contractor with the finance and all that, with the budget still there. I believe this was already all discussed in finance. They were instructed to go out and get an RFP and come back. No, I didn't know that the RFP was out there. I don't even know if it was been brought to the attention of the finance committee. So I'm going to ask Mr. Parada if he can get that RFP over to myself as well to the city clerk's office so that we can, all those RFPs, whatever they are, that we can get them over to the finance chairman and get this heard in the finance final budget negotiations that are going on as we speak. Councilman Taylor.
Yes, I'd like to also add something that I know causes problems with it. I'm talking about the garbage on the street. Are we looking into, which is a separate issue, I know, hopefully I can discuss this because it works into the garbage. Are we looking into replacing the garbage cans and or recycle cans and or covers? Because what happens that I see in garbage day, the cover's broken, the garbage is full, it's a windy day, the garbage is blowing all over the streets, all over the place, and or if the garbage cans are broken themselves. Are we looking in, because I believe the can life is like 10 years, and I believe it's been more than 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. Are we looking into replacing the cans as far as recycle? Recycle seems to be the biggest problem because they're not as sturdy as the trash cans that I see anyway. They're all busted up. And B, is there any way that the environmental, or they're out there all the time, can they write down all these covers that are broken or not even on the thing and replace it? I know that's an expense, but that is where I see a lot of the garbage, especially on Cranston Street. They put the cans out there, they have nothing, and it's blowing all over the street. I mean, my colleagues probably see the same, but I just want to know, is that could be one way of, not solving the problem, but at least knocking down some of the garbage.
Yeah, we're systematically going through all of the areas with replacing cans, lids, etc. We do it on a regular basis. But obviously sometimes it's not just that, it's the resident complying with the law and making sure the covers are closed or not overstuffing the containers. That is part of the issue as well. So it's a combination of things. So we do that on a regular
Are we looking?
basis.
Is there any way? Are we looking into replacing these cans that are over 10 years old? Is that on the horizon, or we're just going to wait till they fall
we
apart?
just do them systematically. We order about 600 to 1,200 cans at a time. That's pretty much what we can accept, and then we replace them as people either request them or go through neighborhoods. To replace wholesale, that's a major expense.
In my working with that is not an easy project, because what happens is if my can is broken and nobody at nighttime is looking, I roll my can 4 houses down and swap cans, right? After the garbage comes. And now the person 4 houses down the road tries to go get a can. They have to, go online and do whatever, try to go down 700, take a picture. Now their number doesn't match up with their can. So it turns into like a big, oh, well, you got to buy a can because that's not your can, when it's it's in the same house, or people that own multiple houses in the city and they swap out cans. They put one on Miller Avenue, but then they own the house in Rutherford one. They own both houses and they swap out cans. So that is always a constant problem, that their cans don't match their numbers. So it's not an easy project as far as the elderly person. And then when they get the can, they put it in and get the can. I had an 85-year-old lived over on Lewis Avenue. He put in for it, got the new can, and they left the old can there. And I actually had to take it down one Saturday and drop it off. So, if you're dropping a can, they should be picking up a can. Don't leave the cans there. And that's what seems to be happening.
Right, well, they should be taking the old can, but, off the top of my head, I think you're talking somewhere
Councilman Correa,
around.
Councilman
Hold on.
Correa, we have to stick to the street sweeping issue, not
Yeah, okay.
recycling,
Yep, we have to stick this.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
Okay.
that, but.
Yeah.
So we can have this discussion regarding trash cans. We can set up another meeting for that there.
Right.
Oh, anyway, to get back to the street sweeping, what I'm gonna ask is that if we could have Mr. Parada present whatever RFPs that he received for street sweeping to the city clerk, so that she can turn them over to myself and the committee members here, and we can forward those to the finance committee as well. So we can look at getting a line item in the budget to bring in a private vendor to help with street sweeping. Is that something that my committee members would like to see? Councilman Narducci?
Yes, Chairman, I think that would work great. And again, moving forward, support it too. Because if we passed an ordinance saying we'd like to see the streets swept so many times a year, then we also got to support a budget for DPW to be able to do that process.
And the finance committee was willing to support this. So Councilman Taylor, are you in agreement?
No, I'm all set. Yep.
Okay.
I'm for it.
Councilwoman Kerwin?
Yeah, I'm for it. The streets in the neighborhood have been looking a little dirty.
All right, thank you. Councilman Espinal?
Please. Yes, of course.
And my final thought would be to Ms. Day. Would you like to say anything before your departure?
Well, just in case the councilman just said it, but I am leaving the city. I accepted a new job, so folks know.
Oh, God.
But I would agree with Leo that part of the, Leo said everything that needed to be said. And so I would just say, I think that there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration and what some of the limitations on our capacity are. And I think there are some conversations that we can have offline that I think will help resolve a lot of this. But I think just being mindful of where we are now and where we're going, I think we just mindful of our current reality as we're having these conversations, but I think we can figure out what a solution is moving forward together. So.
Thank you, Jordan. Sherry.
Chairman, I'm just going to go negative for a minute, if you don't mind.
Oh,
You know,
Am I in trouble?
the administration, no, not you. I already told you, I wish you the best of luck. I'm glad to see you got smart and got away from the administration. Good job, kiddo.
Sherry, you got the mute button ready?
But my, my thing is this administration created a whole department that's tying up an awful lot of city funding that we did not need in our city. So, I mean, if it really came even down to it, we could revisit that department and, do away with that particular department and put more funding out into our neighborhoods where it's needed. But that's it.
Thank you, Councilman Narducci.
Thank
Would
you.
so Leo, can we just get those RFPs forwarded over ASAP?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to join in and say any final thoughts?
No, I would just like to thank the director for his work. As always, especially knowing the situation that they're in, shorthanded and all, and still getting done what they get done.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parada. I mean, you have been doing a phenomenal job since being down there, and we look forward to working with you. We just need to clean up our city. That's all. We need to get our streets clean, and I'm sure you agree with us on that. So, with that being said, anybody else would like to have final thoughts? Sherry, no hands.
I just want to say that.
Councilman Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, final thought is that I'm glad this meeting was held. And at least we have something to plan together and to work together. And I just hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Councilman Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Kerwin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand